So, hi everybody. We welcome you all to this online impact workshop come masterclass organized by Center for Science and Environment. Thank you for logging in from different time zones. This is this workshop which we are running from past 2 days. It's a more of a celebration where we are sharing stories, success stories of how our alumni, our peers have learned from the CSE learnings have been translated into their action plan outcomes. And I would also like to take the opportunity to introduce the person behind the whole, who curated the whole concept, our Senior Director, Academic Director, Dr. Suresh Kumar Rohela. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Marine. Good morning to all of you, all the speakers and the participants who are largely the alumni and the resource persons. And I would just share screen. Marine, if you can stop sharing the screen.
I'm doing that.
Yeah. So I hope I have the right presentation on the screen. With permission of all, I will have to repeat a little bit few slides which we did yesterday. Some of you attended the meeting yesterday. I would like to quickly give an overview of our program before I start off with a welcome note to all. Very good morning once again. Today the focus is about sanitation, and before I go, CSE has a water program and which includes sanitation focus also, and over past decade or so we have been extensively involved in not only just sustainable water management but sustainable sanitation and sanitation for all. Trying to establish, policy principles, innovation, technologies, implementation strategies, and we are actually aiming through both water and sanitation lay the foundations for a water and waste prudent society. And I think this over a decade or so, we have been engaged with multiple partners across global South and as well as developed countries. In 10 years, we have beyond 5,000 plus alumni who have interacted with us. We are developing a demand-driven research, capacity building, and awareness creation program, and this all has brought us today to a place where I can proudly share with you our partnerships. We have across the globe established partnerships with eminent universities, individuals, government departments, international NGOs who have supported, who have partnered with us, who have nominated their colleagues, team members to come and do advanced trainings with us. So this has also resulted in CSC investing into a residential training facility, which has been created in under 20 kilometers from New Delhi, called Anil Agarwal Training Center, Environment Training Center. And as part of this training center, we have conceived different schools. And School of Water and Waste is the first and out of the 6 schools which has been developed at AETI. This is a teaching, learning and innovation center looking at affordable solutions for India and Global South. And we are involved here in this school conducting short-term training programs, which are 1 week to 3-4 days. And these are around 24-hour weeks of training per year. We have exposure visits being organized for learning from on the ground with real implementers and real beneficiaries, interactions with our alumni. We have webinars hosted time to time to peer-to-peer learning if we can't meet in person with the people who are implementing and doing research on the ground. We are also, for past 5 years, we have successfully run online programs, and at the moment also there are 3 online programs running with over 100 participants in each training program. We also have curated knowledge conclaves in various thematic areas. One of the knowledge conclave is SFD Week, which is very popular. Another one is nature-based solutions and green infrastructure. And we also time to time respond to the demands which come from the sector players for off-site tailor-made training programs. So we do this time to time, and we have alumni network meetings, something like this, at various locations across the world. Whenever we go to cities and countries, we reach out to our alumni, interact with them. So this has been possible with generous support from our credible donors, including Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and various other donors. We have raised 700 fellowships for both national and international, covering flight costs, training costs, and we have also given priority to supporting Global South participants, in particular from Africa. So these are some of the background slides which tell us that this journey of last 10 years has resulted in around 5,000 plus alumni. And yesterday we focused on the water theme. Today we are talking about the capacity building initiative, which has focused on sanitation, fecal sludge management, decentralized wastewater management, citywide inclusivity, and we are talking about preparation of city sanitation plans and using tools and techniques which are state of the art, and an overview of these training programs. If we look at this journey, I'm not able to present here data for 10 years, but I'm presenting in last 2 years itself. I would say that, when I saw these numbers, I was really happy to say that, we have in last 2 years been able to have a community of practice of 768 people, out of which around 500 people attended residential programs and 262 attended our online programs. And even our online programs are paid programs, but however, they are curated in such a way that people do pay, but they also get appreciated about and the time which they spent doing the online course. They are given fellowships to attend advanced training programs at the residential training center. So in this sanitation sector, our major focus and was more on advanced trainings, hands-on trainings for solution-oriented trainings. And we conducted in last 2 years around 18 training programs and 4 online training programs which were conducted, making it 22 total number of activities. And if we look at the spread of the topic-wise distribution of training programs, you would see this yellow color, which shows that 13 programs were organized in the area of FSSM and DWATS, which is decentralized wastewater treatment. This has been one of the focus areas because we have documented the challenges and the issues which India faces and Global South faces in terms of the excreta matters. And we are focusing on excreta management towards more solutions to address this issue of non-sewer sanitation and people who depend upon your on-site sanitation systems. Apart from that, we have also developed more holistic approaches like CWISE and City Sanitation Plan. These are the state-of-the-art tools where we have a planned approach to addressing the sanitation issues, and sanitation safety plan, bringing in the WHO's latest health and hygiene guidelines, and ensuring that we have safe water access to all. I think these are some of the areas, and one of the very popular areas which I'm also, how can I forget that, is the SFD. This is one of the most prominent state-of-the-art. We have catered to quite a number of people being trained who are actually developing shit flow diagrams, mapping of fecal flows in their areas, and developing citywide sanitation plans. So SIT flow diagram program is a very successful training program, 270 alumni from that. Total, we are 768 people. And this slide shows you the kind of alumni we have. We have both government and non-government people attending. You will see that in this case, yesterday in the water program, we saw there was only 25% government people. But in the sanitation sector, we have had a very good engagement with government, with 56% of people coming from government, 56 people coming from non-government, and 43% people coming from government departments for taking benefit of the advanced training program which we have developed. We also have a good mix of gender. 21% of our participants are female participants. However, we do feel the need that we should improve on this, and we should have more engagements and ensure that there is a dedicated participation of female participants, female engineers. So today I have an honor to introduce you to our jury members for this Alumni Impact Story Meet. We have 2 members out of the 3 jury members today. Aditya had to pull out today due to some other commitments. Suparno Banerjee is our Senior Director of the Media Resource Center, who is our jury member today, and Rajneesh Shareen, my colleague who is the director at the Sustainable Buildings Program. He leads our green building program, and these are the 2 people who will help me decide and identify top 3 impactful alumni stories who would be given full fellowships to attend residential training programs in the coming year and conclaves at AETI, which will lead to identification of water leaders and fellows, which would be identified by the school. And however, all the people who are presenting today, they should not get disheartened.
Hello.
They would all be given a
Hello.
free copy of the Survey of Environment data book, which has been released very recently. So I think this is a quick background about the school, the jury members, and I would like to take this opportunity if our jury members can say hello to participants before I move on to the routine full presentation. Suparna, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, just thank you, Suresh, again for this opportunity. We had an excellent session yesterday, very well managed by your team and very good presentations. I'm hoping to hear more today. Thank you so much.
Rajneesh, please, floor is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think yesterday was an interesting. We have a lot of sessions which were like starting from communications to actual field ground studies, and we hope there is a lot of good stories to learn today as well.
Yeah. So just to, before everybody goes on, that we are looking at here the impacts. We are not looking at the training component and all those stuff. Tell us that how you have used those in achieving your success in your individual capacities, how you have used these skills further. I think we are looking at those stories. So Mehreen, back to you, please.
Thank you very much.
We expect that 5 to 6 minutes given to people, and we have a lot of interesting presentations coming up.
So before we jump into the presentations, just giving you a brief about the program. So today the themes are divided into two categories. One is on sanitation safety plan, city sanitation plan, and citywide improvement for sanitation, where we will have both individual and institutional capacity of presentations. Then the second theme will be on fecal sludge and decentralized wastewater management. So this is how we have divided the day today. Power-packed presentations, so not taking much of the time. We will start with the first presentation, which will be given by Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So the first presentation is by Ratish Menon, who is the Associate Professor at SCMS School of Engineering and Technology, Kochi. His presentation will focus on sanitation safety planning at Kochi Municipal Corporation. Over to you, Ratish, and I will control from here.
Yeah, thank you, Mehreen. Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So, very good morning to you all. It's a pleasure to be here for this impact workshop. And
just a second. Some housekeeping rules. All the speakers are given 6 minutes, and I'm 6 minutes each. And if there is any question from the participants, request to write it in the chat box. All right. So you please go ahead, Ratish.
Okay. Yeah, so I had a chance to attend the SSP training in September 2019. And right after that training, we had a chance to talk to people at Kochi Municipal Corporation and present whatever we learned from CSE. And they got interested, and they wanted us to demonstrate it at least for a few divisions in the corporation. So that's how this particular project happened. And coming to the background of this, so Kochi is one of the commercial capital. We can say it's a very booming city in Kerala. And for those who are not from India, Kochi is in the southwest side of India. And Kochi Municipal Corporation has 74 wards, divisions, and with a population of 600,000 people. So two divisions or wards were selected for this SSP model, and Ward 56 and 54. These were the wards which also had a sewerage network. So Kochi city is not entirely covered by the sewage network. Only 4% of area is covered by the centralized sewerage network. So if you look at the data, we can say that 72% of people are still dependent on septic tanks to treat their waste. and 20% are connected to the wastewater treatment plant, and 8% they just drain their wastewater into the canal. So Kochi is famous for a network of urban canals, which were aimed to be commercial artery for Kochi when in the earlier time, but as the mobility shifted from water to road, people actually forgot about the urban canals, and they were made as a dumping yard for waste and solid waste and wastewater. So these two wards had their boundaries shared by different urban canals. So that was why these particular wards were selected. Going to the next slide. So we conducted a field survey in these wards, and as a preparation for SSP, ward level surveys were done to set the objectives, and the stakeholder analysis was conducted, and an SSV team was formed. And the facilitating organization was Center for Heritage Environment and Development, one of the very active organization, part of Kochi Municipal Corporation. They do wonderful work on the ground in environment and sustainability area. So they were facilitating this SSP, and we had members from Corporation Council, Health Inspector, and Cooperative Hospital Doctors, Residents Association, and also the Water Authority people who were in charge of dealing with water and sanitation. So in this picture here, you can see that, Maureen, I just wanted to show.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So in those pictures, you can see how the low-income group are residing near to this canal, and they are having directly their wastewater disposed into this canal. So they are very high-risk group identified in this particular SSP. Going to the next slide. So we did prepare a map of the sanitation system, starting from the source to the disposal. So we see the three different pathways and wastewater move from the source to the disposal site. One is through the sewerage network and wastewater treatment plant, and then treated wastewater is disposed to the canal. Another one is it get bypassed, and the sewage is directly disposed into the canal. And third one is the septic tank, of course, and most of the septic tanks are just leach pit, so they contaminate the groundwater. And also some septic tanks, when they need to be cleaned, the vacuum tankers, they take up the septage, and then they just put it in a landfill site outside city, and it again allow the groundwater contamination. So the entire sanitation system was mapped, and exposure to the workers as well as the local community was identified, and at each sanitation step it was marked in this whole map. Going to the next slide. And we identified the events, hazard events, and what is the hazard associated with these different events, and who all were the exposed groups. These groups were identified and the likelihood, and based on the likelihood and the severity of this hazard, the exposure risk score was calculated, and it was identified as certain activities or events that have high risk have been identified. And once these exposure risks were identified, an improvement plan was developed to protect these exposure groups. And based on this improvement plan, how do we monitor this improvement plan? And based on that, an operational monitoring plan was also developed as part of this SSP. Now coming to the final slide. So this whole thing become possible just because of the training that I received in the CSE. And this is actually one of our first exercise in Kerala, we can say, and it's a model for other urban local governments. And so this is only done for 2 wards, but there are many other wards or council members who got interested in this aspect, and they want to conduct this in their own wards, and maybe we will be doing for other wards pretty soon. And the training that we got, where we discussed each and every SSP step clearly, and these processes actually allowed the implementation in the city without any ambiguity. Then the unique thing I found in this training is the field exposure and the case studies, which actually helped in adequate preparation, because we discussed about the pitfalls and the problems that will be faced from the case studies from Alva and other places where SSP were conducted, and this allowed adequate preparation.
Just one minute you have.
Okay, so this SSP exercise created awareness. So people knew about the importance of sanitation, but they didn't know about the safe sanitation concept. So that's something we could actually create this awareness among the elected representatives as well as the stakeholders associated with the sanitation. And since we are going ahead in Kochi with the canal rejuvenation initiative, Kochi Water Metro is coming up with solar ferry boats. So they are interested in cleaning up these canals and providing an alternative sanitation facility. So people are throwing their waste into the canal just because they don't have any other option. So they are dealing with the sanitation aspect. And this particular study has actually given some additional thrust to the ongoing initiatives. Over to you, Marin.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us a flavor of what is happening with regard to sanitation safety plan in 2 of the wards in Kochi. Thank you very much.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
And we hope that it's been much more disseminated in other wards. Now, moving to the next presentation, we have with us Bakshish. So are you able to see my slide? Yeah, so Bakshish is the former TIS UNICEF young professional. He has attended multiple trainings of Center for Science and Environment, particularly in the area of FSM, water, the wide area where we focus on. So his presentation the topic is interesting, what rural can learn from urban. Over to you, Bakshish.
Thank you, Marine ma'am, for such a kind introduction. So, yes, so can I have the first slide?
Yep.
Yep. So, so I've named it as Surakshit Swachhata Yojana in Aurangabad district, Bihar, because I attended, so this is on the basis of the training which I attended for sanitation safety planning, which I had attended in October 2018 when I was working as a Zilla Swachh Bharat Prerak under the collaborative program of Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation and Tata Trusts. So identifying the elephant in the room, why? So as sir also discussed about the importance. So again, since I'm talking about rural, I'll be mentioning a lot of points from what I experienced from my rural stint in Bihar. So Swachhagrais know about the importance of sanitation, but safe sanitation is something which I felt was not something which was much in the minds of the grassroots workers who are working there at the grassroots in Bihar. Specifically, I am talking about Swachhagrais. Swachhagrais are basically the volunteers under the Swachh Bharat Mission program, rural, where their major task is to trigger the population in their own. So since they are village volunteers, they majorly work in their own village and surrounding villages. So I felt that there was a lack of, knowledge on public health. And since Swachh Bharat Mission was such a grand mission, making sure that each and every aspect of sanitation is being disseminated to the grassroots volunteers is something which is challenging. I try to do it on my own, at my own level, at the district level. Next slide, please, ma'am. Yes, so just setting the context, I was a ZSVP when I had implemented this. I had attended training in October 2018 and sanitation safety planning, just to give a basic overview of it to all the attendees who have not attended the sanitation safety planning training. It's a risk-based management tool for sanitation systems with the main objective of sanitation interventions so basic focus for sanitation safety planning is public health, and many of us might have heard of water safety planning. Similarly, along the same line, sanitation safety planning is a tool which is used majorly for urban areas. So it also has all sorts of metrics which help us understand in terms of how safe is our sanitation safety, our city sanitation systems. Next slide, please, ma'am.
This is the one, right?
Just one before this.
Okay. No.
Before. This is the last one.
Right.
Yes. Yep. So initially, when I attended the training and I realized, ma'am, we've again come back to the second slide. Can you please?
There's a lag actually, you know. So
yeah, that's the reason. Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Now it's perfect. Yes. So after I attended the training and understood some parts of public health, and also, so there are again multiple facets of it. Technical sides, which I'm generally, as the speaker before me was talking about, I'll be speaking mainly on the social aspects of, or you can say the software aspect of sanitation safety planning. So after when I came back from the training, Swachh Bharat mission was at its peak. We were working 24/7 throughout all the days of the week, and it was very much at a peak. So during my field visits, I realized that the people in the villages and also our grassroots workers, Swachhagrais, they have very little knowledge on the public health concerns. So, like for example, something as simple as changing the pit. Since the implementation of Swachh Bharat mission has been majorly on the twin pit toilet system, so how do we change the pit? What is the process of emptying of a pit? What are the major public health safety measures and precautions which needs to be taken? So I believe that since Swachh Bharat mission has had a lot of workforce working there at the grassroots, other than Swachhagrais, there were people from all departments: education, health, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Vikas Yojana, and so many programs which were converging with Swachh Bharat mission. But Swachhagrais were the only dedicated force which were working for it. So I thought that let's work with them. So after discussion with the district administration and after getting necessary approvals from the district water sanitation committee, which is headed by the district magistrate, I interviewed close to 556 Swachhagrais from all the 11 blocks of the district. So just to also give a insight to it, so this interview was not like an interview, it was more like a one-on-one interaction plus a group discussion. The photos will be there ahead so that viewers can understand what sort of a process I followed, because interviewing each and every, because these are rural people, and gaon mein knowledge se zyada the way they express whatever little they know is something which holds a lot of importance. And all of these were village volunteers. Many of them were working voluntarily, and many of them were working but not being paid regularly, because the various, it's difficult to monitor. So they had a remuneration system of 150 rupees per toilet, which is something which is difficult to monitor. So I also worked a little bit on the monitoring part. So after the interview process, I shortlisted 121 Swachhagrais for a role of a specialist motivator for the village panchayat. And there's a plan I had made. Can you please move next slide, ma'am? Yes. So the training of these selected 121 Swachhagrais was conducted with the support from UNICEF Bihar Field Office, where, so as part of the training, since the training had different modules, and I was the only one who had attended the sanitation safety planning training, and I knew that these are the certain points which I really want to make sure that each and every, at least these 120 Swachhagrais are knowing this, so that going forward these points are being used at the grassroots level whenever they're going to fields, or whenever, if not field, they're meeting people, or they're conducting some capacity strengthening of the mukhiyas or the panchayats such as of the district. So, and all the points which I had discussed with them were twin pit toilet technology related, and trying to shortly cover the different, in the sanitation value chain, covering different facets of the sanitation value chain, starting from your, the containment, the storage. So generally in urban, we have septic tanks, but over here we were having twin pit technology, and this, since it requires a thing, the transfer of pit also and emptying of pit and all those things. So we had tried to cover that bit through public health bit as part of the twin pit technology, and also maintenance of the toilet system. How do we maintain it? Making sure that we are not using any sort of detergent to clean.
2 minutes.
Okay. Monitoring and thank you. Monitoring and sustainability aspect. So this is something which I had done through making an application. So since we had close to 500 plus Swachhagrahis in the district, it was difficult to monitor the progress done in terms of toilet construction, and also if they are going to field and working. And I felt that there was a major issue of non-payment. So I worked on that through making a policy which was approved by the DWSC for 500 rupees per day payment to Swachhagrahis. Next slide, ma'am. Before this.
This is the one, the timeline, right?
Yes, sorry. I think okay. So this is something. This is something which I've already spoken about.
Okay.
October I attended the training. November I did planning. December and January for yes. So impact of the project. So it's been more than a year that I've been. Have not been to Aurangabad, the district where I served. But recently I was having a conversation from one of the resource persons from there, and I got to know that Swachhagrahis are being used in awareness generation. Those Swachhagrahis are being used in awareness generation activities for the COVID-19 pandemic, which really made me feel good about the fact that whatever efforts were being made in terms of the capacity strengthening of the Swachhagrahis is now, at least when COVID-19 pandemic is there, the importance of public health is a major concern, and they are on the ground helping the district administration in every sort of knowledge dissemination, and also in terms of practice dissemination as well, how to wash hands. These small points were also washing hands, and these points were also covered. And now I mean, when I was speaking to my colleague there, I got to know about this. So this was a very good feeling which I got, that those Swachhagrahis are being used in the COVID-19 pandemic as well. And so CSC training acted as a bridge for me for using the teachings and using those teachings which I got to disseminate them further to the rural grassroots of the country. Next slide, ma'am. The photos. Yes, so these are some photos. So as you can see in the first photo, this is part of a group discussion activity where this is a part of the assessment plan when the Swachhagrahis are being assessed in terms of for selection of Swachhagrahis. Second slide is a photograph from a triggering activity in a school. Next. Yes, this is first slide. In Bihar, we had Lohya Swachh Bihar Abhiyan, which is a combination of Swachh Bharat Mission and Lohya Swachh Bharat Mission of the state government of Bihar. So we had also conducted presentations during the training where people are presenting through chart paper and talking about their learnings. Next slide. Yes, so this is, as you can see, we had gone to, so this is a toilet which is in the phase of construction. The toilet which is being shown is not a very, not the perfect sort of a twin pit toilet, since the pits are, I'm not able to, so if you can see, the brick structure is not in the exact way. So these small points which we had also tried to cover in the training, and also making everyone go to the field so that they can learn. Second is photograph is for, so this is again telling the people about the structure. Next slide.
Bakshish, you'll have to move
yes, so again, the first one during, yes,
Bakshish, you'll have to
I'm just left
it.
with one slide, sir. Yes, next slide. Yes, so as I was speaking about the monitoring application system, this is the monitoring application system I had made. And just to summarize, so what rural can learn from urban is the importance of public health, which is also required when we talk about the rural sanitation systems. And this was a small intervention which I had done in Aurangabad district of Bihar to make sure that the software aspect of public health is conveyed to the grassroots workers so that it's further being disseminated. And I'm happy to see that those same workers, Swachhagrahis are being used in the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bakshish. Thank you very much.
So
Yeah.
Mehreen, we will take one more presentation, then maybe open up for questions until and unless jury member has any question, and participants are requested to put their questions or queries in the chat box where the speakers can also look at that and answer to them. Okay.
Perfect. Are you able to see my screen? The next presentation is by Eliza Patnaik, who attended our CVIS training. She is the senior consultant at Ernst & Young. Eliza? Hello?
Unmute.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I am Elisa Patnaik. I represent Ernst & Young. We are supporting the technical support unit based at Orissa. We are supporting the Housing and Urban Development Department of the Government of Orissa in implementing the fecal sludge and septage management program in the state. Next, Mary. Yeah. So I will just give you a brief about Orissa and the way the government has been implementing the fecal sludge and septage management program. So Orissa is one of the states located in the eastern part of the country, and it has always been one of the less developed states earlier. I would say about 10 years back, but it has made rapid strides recently in the last decade or so. And like other less developed countries, it had very poor sanitation indicators. But now with the government's focus on all other development indicators, including sanitation, it has made a lot of progress, especially in the last 5 years. So the FSSM program was started around 2017, early 2017. And one unique thing about the implementation of this program in the state is that it has adopted a comprehensive approach towards FSSM, where it has laid a lot of stress on building an enabling atmosphere for implementing the program. So it has not just focused on building infrastructure, but it has also focused a lot on engaging communities in maintaining this infrastructure, in service delivery, in a lot of communication activities, capacity building, institutional arrangements, and also in having regulatory developing a regulatory framework in the form of regulations, which has been implementing the program. So now the state has, from 10 Amrut cities, the state has now scaled up the program to all the 114 urban local bodies in the state. So which is, like, I think the only state in the country to have scaled up the program to all the urban local bodies. Next, Mary.
Elisa, you have 4 minutes, so you have to be short and precise.
Just briefly touch upon the CVIS approach to FSSM. So all of you are aware that it is citywide inclusive sanitation approach towards FSSM, where you touch upon a whole lot of things to implement the FSSM program. So for us, what we have done, so most of the cities did not have city sanitation plans. So we did not wait for the CSPs to be developed. So what we're doing currently is trying to incorporate activities with CVIS approach, with CVIS focus in all the cities. Like we are beginning with about 10 to 30 cities, and gradually we'll be extending that to other cities as well, especially focusing on the urban poor and gender and safe management of waste in this. So that is one. And secondly, we are also trying to implement the CVIS approach intensively in one of the cities. So this has taken, this has been delayed a bit because of the present crisis. So this will be doing it very soon. And also the state government, as I was telling you, there have always been a lot of activities, involving all stakeholders. So even informally, the government has already been taking a lot of innovative steps, which in some way are, based on the CVIS principles. Next. So I would just quickly take you through some of the implementation with regard to CVIS activities that we have been doing. So when there are 6 principles of based on which the CVIS approach is adopted. So number 1 is equity, where there is fairness in distribution and prioritization of service quality. So what we have done is, we have tried to, there are a couple of things which are being already done in most of the cities. Like for example, the desludging services can be accessed through multiple channels, and whichever is suitable to whichever section of the group can be accessed. And also there are efforts to, subsidize the desludging services for the urban poor communities in the cities, so that, they pay less. So a system is being developed so that, it's the operators are not at a disadvantage, but the urban poor communities also have some advantages in this. So there is a lot of effort in improving access, desludging access for urban poor in terms of, desludging services, where the government is procuring small cesspool vehicles, and also, using innovations like double boost pumps, so that, houses located in narrow lanes can be accessed. And others like, safe and clean toilets in urban communities in the form of community toilets. Yeah, next. So in terms of safety, so most of the cities have been declared ODS, management of the fecal toilet. So there's a prevalence of sanitation like other cities. And so the focus is more on the the containment part is mostly dealt with, but we are also focusing on conversion of insanitary toilets to sanitary toilets. So the focus is more now on the safe for transportation and treatment of the fecal waste. So right now there are 10 functional septic treatment plants in the state, and 26 more are coming up by the end of this year. And by the end of 21, the state plans to manage its black water either through treatment facilities or through temporary disposal sites called this depot entrenchment sites, where the fecal waste is temporarily disposed safely at a designated site. And there is a lot of emphasis on the safety of sanitary workers who are working in fecal sludge and septic management. So Orissa is one of the state which has adopted and enforced the FSSM regulation, which is applicable throughout the state for all the 114 ULBs, where a penalty is levied on indiscriminate disposal and on other factors like, disposal of toilet waste to drains, etc. Next. So in terms of sustainability, so the focus is now on, having a regular source of revenue for continuing the FSSM services. So although the infrastructure is largely built by the state, so it is managed by the ULBs at the local level. So currently the funds generated from cesspool vehicle services are, able to sustain the services at the city level. And trying to engage a lot of stakeholders in the maintenance of these infrastructure and services, so that the ownership is more, the participation is more, and going further, we don't see the infrastructure not being maintained in the future. Next. So in terms of in terms of responsibility, there are regular reviews undertaken at different levels, both at the state level, district, and at the city levels, and dedicated staff designated at the ULB level and also at the district level to monitor and follow up and address issues on FSSM, and which includes a whole lot of indicators, so which have really helped in solving and addressing the challenges in FSSM. And also a lot of since the focus of the state is more on community engagement, so a lot of business opportunities are being created in sanitation for vulnerable groups like self-help groups, sanitary workers, rag pickers at the city level, so that the whole system functions on a foundation which is sustainable. Next. So in terms of accountability, so there are a lot of directives which are given by the state from time to time on various aspects of FSSM. And the ULBs are accountable to match up to all the indicators. And besides the regular typical reviews which takes in a government system, so we have tried to build in some amount of technology to the monitoring and accountable system. For example, a state level FSSM dashboard has been created, which captures performance of FSSM indicators at the city level. So it has indicators like number of trips generated, how much of it is being safely disposed, safe containment, the number of vehicles a city has, so things like that. So recently our team has started this FSSM tracker, which is now being utilized in cities which have treatment facilities. So it basically tracks the number of trips generated in a city and how much of it is going to the treatment plant and what is the plant capacity. So this has helped us immensely in day-to-day monitoring of the
less than 30 seconds
program. Yeah. So again, for resource management, so the state has largely pulled in resources from various programs and sources, like for example, the District Mineral Fund, the Amrut Fund for constructing the treatment facilities, and the lot of state budget funds from the state budget is also utilized for the FSSM activities. Next. So recently, I would like to mention that, the government of Orissa handed over the treatment, the operation and management of 4 treatment facilities to self-help groups in 4 cities. And one of them is a transgender self-help group. So this is a path-breaking decision which has been taken by the government, and going ahead, so more SAGs will be engaged in the operation and maintenance of these plans.
Thank you.
So I would like to briefly tell about how the program, training program that I attended has helped us. So it has helped, particularly personally, it has helped me in understanding what the CVS approach is all about, and especially its application in the cities, which I disseminated among my team members. And we conducted an internal capacity building workshop for all our 25 team members, which was really useful for them to implement the same in their city level. And very importantly, it has also connected us to a community of practice, which is very useful. And you come to know what other partners are implementing in CIVIS in their respective cities. So that has been quite valuable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. So if you want to take some questions, or should we move to the next?
No, let by the time you transition, Suparno, Rajneesh, you have any questions as a jury members to the participants, or you want to? Can you unmute yourself, Suparno and Rajneesh? You want to say anything?
No, there's nothing at this stage. I think we can pick, but yes, there are very good examples, which and I think the diversity of how.
Yeah, let's not. Okay. We can come back and do it later.
Okay. Thank you. And participants, if we are able to finish presentation on time, then we will have enough time we have kept towards the end to have question answers, and speakers can look into the chat box to answer the questions which are coming to their presentation. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Chanchal Modi. He's the program coordinator at WaterAid India. His topic of presentation is addressing sanitation issues with citywide approach. So Chanchal, over to you, 6 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I hope I'm audible.
I'm sorry, I'm being a very bad moderator.
No. That's required actually. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Mary. Good morning, everyone. I represent WaterAid India, and today I share learning of just one project which I coordinated, managed, and led. And then this is what we consider as only project using these learnings, as I know there are many experiments being tried out by different colleagues at WaterAid India, because some of the trainings have been participated by my other colleagues as well. So anyway, so actually I had a chance to be part of a few trainings on water and to sanitation, and basically this training, and I attended training in SFD in early 2017 and FSSM in early 2018. Anyway, thanks a lot to CSE colleague to providing this opportunity to share my experience and working over with the Ujjain Municipal Corporation. Ujjain as city, next slide, Marine, yeah. So Ujjain, it's a city in central India, which is located in Madhya Pradesh and known for its religious importance. And that makes the city being visited by significant number of mobile population throughout the year. And this also makes sanitation a challenging issue for the city government to address. And actually, I remember the engagement with Ujjain Municipal Corporation as a support started as a support for an event, but eventually turned it into a complete project of different kind later. Actually, in 2016, with the request from Divisional Commissioner, Water in India supported Ujjain Municipal Corporation in assessment of community toilet and public toilet, demonstrating biodigester in a public toilet, zero discharge mobile toilet in collaboration of IIT. And using this successful event and collaboration, Water in India was requested to help them in planning and implementation of SBM as well, which was in fact that time not started due to planning for CMS. Yeah, next. So as an organization, I mean, it was a tough call that time as there was no committed fund. And at the same time, it was also an opportunity to work in a new model of partnership with municipality, as that has a potential to work with a citywide approach. As a precaution not to become an extended agency of the government, we agreed to work together on a mutual roles and responsibility like a non-financial MOU. And following this, we also brought our NGO, Bharatiya Gramin Mahila Sangh, who works as our local partner for community mobilization. Yeah. So this slide is very important. No, previous slide, Marine. Yeah. So how we did it actually? How we did it, because what strategy we used basically. We studied like regular situational analysis on existing gaps and providing feedback. This helped in actually in taking right decision at the right time while verifying the existing toilet demand. More than 2,000 left out families were identified. Gaps in contractor model also led to include beneficiary model. It became first city to have in MP to have beneficiary model. Otherwise, in whole MP urban, you know that only contractors were engaged for constructing the toilet in SBM. 2 contractors were terminated on quality issues. And a strict flow diagram, we prepared a flow diagram and review of Amrit plan, and that we helped to see their gaps in sanitation value chain. And this, I mean, triggered them to have a, FSM solutions. Second, supporting and framing strategies for implementing SBM with community-led approach. I mean, because most of the time while working on sanitation, working closely with the urban local body, what really misses out is the community engagement. So we did this actually. Actually, if you see that the ULB plan was to initiate construction of toilet all over the city at the same time, but we helped them in zonification of the city and using 3x3 matrix so that the marginalized can be prioritized, influencing UMC to engage again 2 more agencies using their IEC budget for community mobilization. And we help them in supporting launch campaign plan, establishing link in between annual MSHGs and Mohalla Samiti. You must be aware that the Madhya Pradesh also has Mohalla Samiti regulations under which 100 houses can come together and can make a Mohalla Samiti in Islam. So how we ensured that how community should also be part of this whole drive, that was the, significant point of this intervention. Third, I will say that it was a building capacity, again, both demand and supply side, and demonstrating different kind of models. Like a number of short sessions and structured workshops we organized, and efforts were made to bring knowledge across the country so that they are aware of existing policies, regulations, and innovations being tried out. Even the few of the organization and presenter today, they were also part of these workshops actually. I feel that when, they participated in our Yojana. We also organized exposure visit to Warangal with support from SK. Objective was to sensitize and trigger them again to take required steps. So what we did that we also, demonstrated models in their premises, different kind of a toilet model, what is leach pit, correct leach pit, lined toilets, unlined toilets, septic tank. It was just a model so that the engineers and engineering team and even the NGOs and people visiting the municipal corporation can see them. And I think all these 3 steps, last I will say the regular self-assessment, because being so, as we had a good rapport with the municipal corporation, we helped them in making their regular self-assessment of existing gaps. And these 3 steps, which I just discussed, help municipality to improve it. And it was again verified from time to time. And WaterAid and partner played this role of third party also, that as a third party, how do we look at them? So FSM assessment and Amrut Ruby really influenced UMC to have FSM services. And it became first city to have FSTP, and that also using its own finances. I was surprised to see even after a year of procurement, I just went there and I see that how they were also documenting. The caretaker who is monitoring the FSTP, he was documenting actually that when the vehicle comes, when the vehicle goes out, and without any NGO. That was actually important thing to, note down. So I think this simple effort and strategy helped Ujjain Municipal Corporation to achieve ODF. I think it was within 1.5 or 2 years, and it achieved 12th rank in 2018 at national level, national ranking survey. Ranking, sanitation ranking, which we normally call such Sarvekshan. Though I don't much believe in it, but still you need to have some indicators. And followed by 4th rank in 2019. So you can see a jump on how improvement a city government is making. And it was, and most importantly, I will say that, which I feel that as a good achievement of WaterAid, that it was ranked 1 in the medium-sized, and it also got awarded 2nd position for citizen-led initiative. So that is very important, that how citizen participation were seen as a component, important component, and community leaders and NGOs were invited for the city level workshops as well at the national government that represented their case studies. Next. So how we did it actually? I know, so there's some interesting, diagram. Now there is no more text, most mud text, but how we can see that how sheet flow diagram, as most of you are familiar with, while taking data for SFD as part of details assessment, we also use GIS to reflect the faulty nature of toilet constructed under SFM. So the map which you are seeing, actually it's a significant portion of the city has high water table issue, and by design, leach pit toilets were constructed. So we have mapped that how high water table and low water table and kind of toilets they have constructed. So it gives a sense that which are the areas where wrong toilets were constructed and where the retrofitting needs to be planned. Even though you have a toilet, but there are still more things to do. Yeah, next. Second, this is the again review of the Amrut, and it's very good to see that we, and because when we approach them, when we approach them, my first instance, they talked about FSM, like engineering team, they totally ruled out any need, and they said that the whole city will get covered with the FSTP. However, after going through their own plan and finances, we got to know that even if everything goes well, even though by 2050, they would be able to cover just 60% of the population. So if you see map, it's clear that in the current plan in hand and finances available, they can't cover the whole city. In fact, there will be still a large portion of the city which will be out of their plan. So if you see the area, previous slide, Mary, just to have an idea. So it says that these 3 colors shows that different, zones of their planning, that they will first start with the pink one, then they will move on the blue one, and then followed by the orange one. And still there will be the area where there is no plan actually. And there is no plan. So how, the people sometimes municipality think that Amrut and sewage network is the only solutions, but how a significant of area, even apart from slums, are going to remain out. Yeah, next.
Chanchal, 1 minute left.
Yeah. So now these are some recorded moments actually, that how we really did it and how these workshops were done. Yeah, next. And these are some community mobilization, some of the IC we used, that how we really also triggered the community. Yeah, next. Impact of the training learning. So how actually really. Now learning helped to look at the issues of sanitation beyond out here. Content and not content system was a great learning, and I keep always talking about that. You need not to talk about different typology of toilet, but whether the typology we are talking about is contained or not contained, whether it's, so that is very important, because we keep, got confused into different things of toilet and measurement and all, but it's very important to see content and not content. Attempting to use this learning in Bhopal and small towns of Chhattisgarh. So I primarily look the urban program of WaterAid, but now I also look after the rural FSM. So how this learning can be used over there. So we are attempting to SFD in Kankir and Kankir town also. Training on SFD and FSM help to look into perspective of solution. As you said, not just, gaps, because you can prepare SFD, but what after SFD? What are the solutions? We are also using then how, the idea of using GIS and spatial data to review the build over SB and Amrut, where ripple effect of those training, I will say that I would have not gone into this GIS detail. This learning could have not happened. Again, demonstrating DWARDs at slum level and planted gravel bed at town level. We have demonstrated it in, slum level, we did it in Bhopal, and this PGB, planted gravel bed, we did it in Kumari town. And now we are also using in the rural FSM. In fact, in Kankir, I will say that we identified, with an advocacy approach, there are 50 points were identified where wastewater are making water bodies through drainage, and how we are taking up with the district sector and the municipality to go over the DWARD, because we are not investing in there. So training provided a platform to get connected with other sector players also, I think. Biggest impact, again, I will say that UNC was the first city in MP to have FSTP with their own resources, and impact was seen even in the management of data and monitoring. If you can see that this file, one photo, this is a log file that which is being maintained at the FSTP. Yeah, and the photo is one that how at slum level DWARD have been constructed. So I think apart from this, I will also like to mention here, that WaterAid India is also using rainwater harvesting training, which the other colleagues have got here. They are also being tried out. I know this is not part of my presentation, but I will say again, it's the impact of the training that the training by the police and rainwater harvesting. A lot of people are, trying out in their respective projects. And somehow, again, I'm saying that I'm representing only one project actually. So there may be that an organization can compile those learnings, and there can be again a more presentation where WaterAid India presentation can be there. Yeah. So at last slide, just last slide, not a slide, that this is basically some accreditations which municipality wrote to us. And if you see even the letter, they specifically says that actually how our FSM assessment help them to actually improve their sanitation ranking. So I think these are some accreditations. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chanchal. Very inspiring. Very inspiring to see people understand and implement on the ground. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So next presenter is Qazi Al Amin. He's the coordinator of CVIS and Technology Development Practical Action Bangladesh. It's more of an individual level of impact, the turning point, what he says. So over to you, Qazi. You have 6 minutes. The range of trainings he has attended. Qazi, can somebody unmute him, please?
Yeah.
So can I skip? All right. You want to start?
Yeah, Marin. Yeah, thank you very much. It's an even pleasure for me to share some of the experience and some of my activities with my dear alumni. And I love to know more from my friends. So that's why I'm preparing my presentation very short. And I will only emphasize on the impact, what is already I have done in my previous activities. So a previous slide, please.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Previous.
Okay, this previous.
Yeah. Okay. So no, second.
All right.
Second one.
This one.
So I have attended 3 training conducted by CSE so far. So the first training was conducted in 2017, and 18 and 2020 I attended more 2 training. So from the training I have learned more from the FSM. I learned the sheet flow diagram. I learned the CSP, and in my last training I have learned from CSE about the CYs. Okay, next please. After learning from the CSE in 2017 about the SFD sheet flow diagram, so I started practicing the sheet flow diagram and preparing the sheet flow diagram in my studies. So at that time, I conducted a baseline study of FICA sludge management in a particular city in Soyedpur, and I used the sheet flow diagram in my report, and it was appreciated by the municipal authority. And I found from the presentation that it was a magical tool for me to convince and to present my findings and to present the gaps in the sanitation sector, to present the challenges in the sanitation supply chain, value chain. And it was really a powerful advocacy tool for me and tool for the client who were working on that project. And it was very easy to understand for the very normal people, the municipal people and the other local peoples. And it was also attractive. So after getting all those points from my first presentation, so I started using a sheet flow diagram in my other baseline study. And I conducted a baseline study for NGO Forum in Mymensingh 2018. I used the sheet flow diagram, and it was highly appreciated. And then I got the opportunity to work with Muhit Bhai of WaterAid Bangladesh in preparing 9 sheet flow diagram in 9 municipalities of Bangladesh, and it was in 2018. And then I have been working with Practical Action since last September 2019. So after joining in Practical Action, I got the opportunity to prepare 4 sheet flow diagram for the project areas of the Practical Action. And we already done all the SFD, but for the COVID situation, the validation workshop has to be postponed. So I think that after the situation, it will be finalized. And we have also planned for preparing 5 more sheet flow diagram in the next year for the Practical Action in other project areas. Next slide, please. So this is the overall sheet flow diagram I already worked on. So I have completed total 11 sheet flow diagram. Currently working on 4 and plan to work on 5 in next year. So next slide, please. Okay, so in my last training, I got to know about a CWISE approach from the CSC team. And after attending the training, so in our current project, we have implemented some approaches. We have implemented some steps to address the CWISE in our current project. So we will going to consultation meeting with the project director of National Urban and Wash Program by LGED, that is Local Government Engineering Division, and the DPHE, Department of Public Health Engineering. So which are the DPHE is responsible for implementing project for water sanitation in the urban and rural areas, and LGD is responsible for implementing project of water and drainage system. So we want to sensitize the sanitation planning, and we want to introduce the CWISE approach in their sanitation planning, so that in the next planning, when they will go into the plan, so they will address the CWISE approach in their future planning. And we plan to increase the capacity of our key stakeholder and the government official we are working on in the municipal level. So we plan for conducting 28 different training sessions by next June 2021. And so far, we already conducted 8 training sessions with the 4 municipal area. So our target is to capacity development for 52 elected representatives from different municipalities, 80 municipal officers, and 100 sanitation workers from our project areas. And we also plan for conducting a city sanitation planning, CSP, for 8 project municipalities, and it will also address the CWISE approach. And we plan to conduct it by next June 2021. Next slide, please. So these are the areas we are planning to conduct the CSP. So it's a Faridpur, Rajbari, Magura, Meherpur, Kolarwa, Satkhira, Barguna, and Bagirhat. So after implementing this CSP, then we will go for conducting more CSP and in our other project areas also. Next slide, please. Okay, so after getting the training, in the last training, we come to know some case studies from different cities of the India. They already started women entrepreneurship in the sanitation sector. So we started encouraging the engagement of women in the sanitation sector. We already have several meetings and several approach to engage women in public toilet management, the emptying and transportation services system. So we are trying to give them the vehicle to run the operating and emptying facilities, and we are trying to engage them in the production of the necessary sanitation items. So we want to engage them the business in the sanitation sector and also in the other value chain segment of the sanitation. And one important achievement from the training is in the participant, there were 2 mayors attended in the training. So after getting the training and visiting the toilet museum, so they are very much encouraged and motivated. So just coming back to Bangladesh, they've already started to install lots of public toilets in the different importance areas in their respective areas. They're trying to setting up biogas plant with their public toilet system, and they are very interested to install and piloting DWARD system, what they observed in the Nimli campus. And they are considering the poor people in their every planning session. And one thing is I want to mention that in the CWISE approach to ensure the affordability and accessibility of the toilet and the service chain, we are working with the private manufacturing company, Metal Private Limited, to prepare cost-effective and the reasonable price for the safety and transportation equipment.
All right, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. That's it? Great.
I think the screen has gone off. Can you?
Okay, sir. I think somebody had shared the screen.
Yeah, no worries. So I've done with my presentation.
Okay.
So yeah,
Perfect.
very happy to present my experience and my planning with you.
Thanks
Thank you, Mary.
Thank
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kazi.
So our next presenter is Farhad Safi, who actually is was part of the thesis project he did with CSE. Can the host please ensure that nobody else shares the screen?
Anup Kumar ji, आप अपना screen sharing बंद कर लीजिए.
Thank you.
Anup ji.
Done.
Yeah. So Farhad, can somebody unmute him?
Yeah.
So hi Farhad. So you go.
Hello.
You have 6 minutes. So go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Mehreen. Greetings to all. It's a great pleasure to be part of this session. So yes, can you bring that first slide? I think my introduction.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, fine. No problem. So I will start with here. I think the screen was missed because of the technical issue. That's why. Yeah. As you said, I attended a research project with CEC under my MSc Sanitation, and you can see the topic. Can we go to the slide, my own slide? Yeah. Next one. Yes, so my project with the CEC and my research topic was to monitor changes in citywide sanitation. It was basically assessment of SFD and CSD tools for monitoring citywide changes in citywide sanitation. So it was, I'm sure you all know about SFD, and it was interesting that some of our colleague participants here already presented their work related to SFD. So in this presentation, I will slightly explain about my research project, which might be interesting to all of you. So these two tools, you know well about them. So they are used to show the SFD shows excreta flow in a city and been principally used for advocacy, and CSD similarly for enabling environment. So in my work, which I did with the CEC, can we go to the next slide? I explored these two tools for monitoring citywide changes in sanitation. So basically, I did my research work in Trichy, Tamil Nadu from January to March 2019, and so it was about 2 months of field work in particular, and there I visited a lot of places, did interviews. At the end, I developed ECFD for Trichy for 2019 and CSD scorecard for Trichy. Can we go to the next slide? So, Mehreen, can we go to the next slide?
I think there is some lag. Can you see that now? It's the results of research.
We can see the next slide, but I think there's a lag due to technologies.
Farhad, are you there? I think he is disconnected.
Are you talking about result of the research that is on the screen?
So yeah, we are on the right slide, the result of my research. So from work I did, we find out that SFD graphic has the potential to be used for capturing changes in citywide sanitation at the level of services, and CSD for enabling environment. So the suitability of SFD graphic was more, and at its present state, it's fine, it's workable, but CSDA has some limitation, and that needs to be improved. So this was finding of my research. I've been working on research. I have worked on a research paper as well, which I can share. Mehreen could also share with this presentation with you, so you can see the details. What was the method of my my research and what were the findings. But I briefly explained about it in this slide, and also I have prepared a poster on my work, which can also be shared with you, and you can see the details of it. I tried to keep it short. Can you go to the next slide so I can explain how the knowledge I gained from this work been used in my professional life. So after completion of my project, it is just like an year after I did this work with CEC, I've been given a major responsibility as a team lead for sanitation in a USAID project of water and sanitation. In this project, our main focus is to develop, conduct sanitation studies for 5 major cities and then prepare sanitation plan. It is not a typical sanitation planning work. Each city will take about 2 years to conduct and complete a CSP for it. So we do a detailed work in each city, and we also have component of capacity building. So to come specifically how I use this knowledge. So from the time I'm back to Afghanistan and I complete my project, I have developed 6 SFDs for 6 major cities of Afghanistan, and as my responsibility, I lead the sanitation studies in 5 major cities. So the work I did in Trichy was similar to this, but this work is more in detail. So my field work actually helping me a lot to lead the field staff from my experience in Trichy, I now know the challenges associated with working at the citywide level. So yes, I can say that significantly it helped me and also my team to work for the sanitation studies for these 5 cities. And now the second step in our work was to do sanitation planning. So from the exposure I gained in Trichy, some of you might know it's a very vibrant city in terms of sanitation activity. So we have CSP we already have a sanitation plan for Trichy from 2018, and also we have now CWAS project ongoing. There is one of the trial cities for CWAS. So all those learnings from the city-wide project activities is helping me also with the sanitation planning work we do for 5 major cities. So the thing about Afghanistan is that the sector is very new here, and the knowledge I have gained from the project in CEC and in Trichy is significantly helping us all here with the sanitation studies and planning, and different models being there implemented or ongoing in Trichy. The CWAS, the type of systems they have for wastewater management. So at the zonal level, they had the decanting station for FSM.
Perhaps 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Yeah. So I can summarize that. So not only until now, but in the coming activities until completion of this project, at least, which will take 4 years under USAID funding. So the knowledge I have gained would be significantly helpful during my work. So thank you so much. It hasn't been long from this project, but very helpful indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Farhad. And I should give the participants background about this presentation, because he is not an alumni of any of our trainings. However, we have a tie-up with UNESCO IHE Delft institution, and we host interns for 3 to 6 months in India. As under that partnership, he has done exemplary work, I should say. Coming from a different country, he went to a city in India and learned about the SFD tool and implemented it on ground. So great. So next presentation.
So next presenter is Unnati Chak. So we heard stories from India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. Now we move to South Africa. So it's an institutional level, this presentation. So over to Unnati Chak, who is the water utilization engineer at Ibanti Management, South Africa.
Thank you, Marin, and good day, everyone. We'll be talking about the experience and the impact, the training we had with CSE on developing SFDs in South Africa. You can go to the next slide. Amanti Management, that is the company I work for, was appointed by the Water Research Commission of South Africa in an 18-month project. The main purpose of the project was to apply the SFD tool to targeted metropolitan municipalities and smaller municipalities within the country. This was a first national initiative for South Africa because there's before the project, there was only one municipality that had developed SFDs in the country. So we had to look for innovations to SFD tool use for South African circumstances. We had to profile SFDs to broader municipal sector. That means we had to profile it to different stakeholders, water and sanitation stakeholders within the country, because it's a new initiative, and we had to provide capacity training to these different stakeholders. Okay, you can go. Because this was a new initiative in the country, as a project team, we had to familiarize ourselves with this concept, SFD concept, and we were fortunate to be trained by CSE on how to develop SFDs, how to interpret them, how to train other people on the development and what are the necessary steps. So they gave us some tips on how to conduct the process. In addition to the project team being trained, CSE assisted us in conducting workshops where we were sensitizing the sector stakeholders on this SFD development. So CSE was part of conducting these workshops with different stakeholders. So we had experts that train us, so it was some kind of training of trainees. Then we had these workshops at 2 regions in the country. That was in 2018. 1.5-day workshops were held in both regions, which was a very good training. You can go to the next one. It was a good training because those sector partners, the stakeholders, they supported the initiative, and it was very much welcomed because it was realized that sanitation has been sort of lacking attention if you compare it to drinking water initiatives. So the workshops sensitized the municipalities to participate in this initiative, such that in both of the regions that we had workshops, 4 municipalities attended the workshops in each of these, and all the municipalities that attended the workshops, they volunteered to become part of the project. So we ended up developing 8 SFDs in the country, 4 SFDs in each region. Then from there, the project team continued to train, to have one-on-one trainings with the targeted municipalities after we had the sensitization workshops where we developed the SFDs with the municipalities. Okay, you can go to the next one. The impacts of these to date was that the sector, the whole sector, became aware of SFD, and the municipalities that were part of this. Actually, it's not only those municipalities. because now we are having workshops, and then there was an FSM conference last year. So our municipalities are becoming more aware of SFTs now, and they are learning to prioritize by identifying what are the gaps in their SFT outputs. We also took a step further by saying once they are able to identify the gaps, we developed a remedial action plan where they have to identify within the sanitation system where do they need to focus on and what are they going to do. So they had to develop action plans where they can plan and budget in future, so that they have budget included in their longer term plans within the municipality. Okay. The expected impacts are that the development and implementation of remedial action should be ongoing, and municipalities can continue tracking progress on the implementation of their action plans. And we are hoping that there will be improved fecal sludge management in the country. And where the municipalities have identified that there's lack of information or data, they will improve that by going out and finding out data. And what was very interesting was that municipalities got to realize that by going out in the field during the SFT development, because we also went out, conducted site visits with the municipal representatives, they understood their sanitation systems better, because what they thought they understood was not what they found when they went out and visited the sites. So they got to understand their systems better. And we're hoping that the sector will use this in terms of reporting and planning. If we can have all municipalities developing their SFTs in the country, then that will be a good progress. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you have something more?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, the future plans that are already planned for, that is something that we will be starting in now, tomorrow. That's the 1st of July. So we've got a plan already to have high-level stakeholder advocacy engagements, where we will be talking at the stakeholders who have an influence in the sanitation sector to develop more SFTs in the country. And if we can maybe develop a first order national SFT that will be a South African view, we think that will show progress, because if we can have more SFTs, and then that will also be part of showing progress in terms of development goals. So we also looking at developing more innovations, including there's a project that we are involved with USAID, where we will be developing a climate resilient SFT. So we're looking at all those, and then we are looking at closing this gap by profiling the fecal sludge management toolbox, where we will be using the toolbox to close the gaps that were identified from the SFT development. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
So we are done with theme 1.
Yeah, we can take a pause in the meantime and ask Rajneesh if he's online. Rajneesh, do you, as a jury member, do you have any questions to any of the presenters? You want to know more about anything?